Good morning. Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of February, 10 o'clock. This is the Weber County Commission Board of Commissioners meeting here at 24th and Washington. We appreciate those of you who are in the audience today and also those of you who are joining us online for this great meeting. Our Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be led by Todd Ferrario. Our invocation will be said by Brian Barron, and I'll take the thought of the day. Mr. Ferrario.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we humbly bow our heads before Thee this morning with gratitude for the many blessings that we enjoy. We're grateful for the free country we live in. We're grateful for the opportunity we have today to participate in local government. We're grateful for the beautiful world that we live in. We pray that Thou will bless us with wisdom as we make decisions regarding local government, and help us to make those decisions that would be beneficial to the people who live here. We thank Thee for Thy Son and for His atonement, and help us in our efforts to be more like Him. And these things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Mr. Ferrario. Mr. Barron, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, today's thought's rather simple, and while we're somewhat just a little early, I thought I'd mention something coming up that I hope all of you take a little time to contemplate. You know, not that it's any kind of a religious holiday, but here in the United States, we recognize and some celebrate Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is, they say, is for lovers, but I'm going to take that a little further. It's basically a time for you to be thoughtful. You know, as one in elementary school, it didn't mean for lovers back then for me, but it was a time where you could take a few moments and be thoughtful one toward another. And you know, it doesn't cost you anything monetarily to be thoughtful. It does cost you, or I would say the privilege of giving a little time, being thoughtful, taking a little time to think of someone else. I would, commissioners, challenge all of us to be thoughtful anonymously around this year, especially because of the absence of getting together and human touch. I would say not necessarily has to be romantic, but it could be a nice little gesture or something anonymous. You know, for some, it'll make a big difference too. And that's what we do in Weber County. We try to make a big difference by being thoughtful. So those are my thoughts this morning, commissioners. Thank you. Christy, do we have any persons online that would like to speak regarding today's agenda? Is there anyone here in the area here that would like to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda. We're now on item number F on the agenda, which are our consent items. Item 1 is a request for approval of warrants 3488 through and including 3508 and 456-396 through and including 456-542 in the amount of $532,918.54. Item 2 is a request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $1,368,978.98. Item 3 is a request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on January 26, 2021. Item 4 is a request for approval of new business licenses. Item 5, request for approval of new beer licenses. Item 6 is a request for approval of a service agreement by and between Weber County and Page Toll. Item 7 is a request for approval of an amendment to a contract by and between Weber County and the State of Utah Division of Wildlife Resources to increase the amount of Division of Natural Resources grant and to extend usage to 27 years. Item 8 is a request for approval of an amendment to a contract by and between Weber County and the Ogden-Weber Convention Visitors Bureau for the compensation amount of the 2021 calendar year. Commissioners, I'll hear questions or statements regarding any of these consent items. Commissioner Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to call your attention to the fact that we have over $1 million worth of purchase orders. Since I've been here, we've never had $1 million in a single check run of purchase orders. So that's a whopper.
Thank you. Commissioner Frohr?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I did have a question that maybe we get an answer on for consent item F7, the contract approval amendment with the Division of Wildlife Resources and the extension for 27 years. I don't, if somebody can give us an update on that. I remember that we've had a presentation before from Natural Resources. I just can't remember what the terms were.
Our Assistant Culture, Parks, and Recreation Director, Ms. Jennifer Graham. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So our original agreement was for the $750,000, and that allows the DNR to use some of our space there for hunter safety classes. With the addition of the $350,000, making the total funding 1.1, they've asked to extend that agreement to 27 years. I'm speaking with Todd Ferrario and the manager, Mike Luna, down there. We don't feel like that's going to be a hindrance as of yet, and said we've been open since August 1st. I don't believe the DNR has had any classes there at all. So we very much want them to be a part of the project and just that whole hunting support and outreach. So,
Commissioners, or for those online, this is an archery center, our archery building. Commissioner Frohr?
No, that's great. I appreciate that, and to me, it's a great partnership. The DNR serves this county and state well, and what they do with their education, and I think this is a great thing. So,
great.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jenkins, any other questions? Mr. Hatch, can you give us some dialogue on these purchase orders, especially, I would say that not just the warrants, but the purchase orders there, please.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Commissioners. We issued 51 purchase orders this week for $1.4 million. That is a high amount. January, you see a higher amount in value of purchase orders. The largest amount, 76% of that amount, or $1 million, was for the library. This is an open purchase order that they issue each year. Actually, it's multiple open purchase orders to purchase books and materials, e-books, audio books, audio-visual materials, etc., and they will draw upon this PO or these POs throughout the year. So that's the bulk of our purchase orders. 8% of that amount, or $115,000, is for our roads, and that will go towards purchasing road base. And then 7%, or $95,000, is for the sheriff's office to purchase dash cameras. As far as checks, we issued 168 payments this week for $533,000. It was kind of spread across various areas, so 20% of that amount, or $105,000, is for parks, and that's the payment to Huntsville Town for the day use revenue for Pineview Reservoir for 2020. 18%, or $98,000, is sewer impact fees paid to Weber Sewer, as well as escrow release for the Ridge Phase 3. 17%, or $90,000, is for the Golden Spike Event Center, and that was to do the touchless conversion for their venues. And then 8%, or $42,000, is for the jail. That was for food, utilities, and cleaning supplies. And then lastly, 5%, or $29,000, is for property management. That's a $20,000 payment to Ogden City for the municipal gardens maintenance, and then some building maintenance costs.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hatch. Commissioners, does that bring any other questions?
It did bring a question for me.
Commissioner Jenkins?
You said sewer impact fees. This is an escrow fund disbursement. So that's not an impact fee.
Yes, it says trust or escrow. It's really trust dollars. It's the money that we collect from impact fees. We have to give a portion of that amount over.
Collect those and then we give you
Yeah,
whatever.
so it's a trust kind of disbursement.
I'm with you. That's okay.
Yep.
If no other questions, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion
Second.
and a second. I'll call for that motion now. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent items are approved. Item G, the first one, Commissioners, is Resolution Number 8. It's a request for a resolution of the County Commissioners of Weber County appointing members to the Tourism Tax Advisory Board. Miss Jennifer Graham.
Thank you. Good morning again, Commissioners. Yes, this is just kind of some housekeeping appointments, reappointments that need to be made. We've actually got the reappointment of Sarah Tolliver and Dakota Hyde to serve another term. Dakota is the, I'm not exactly sure what his title is. It might be the GM for the Compass Rose up in the Upper Valley.
So,
Okay. Also to move my position and reappoint me as a voting member instead of a non-voting member. And then to appoint Karen Higgs, who is the DOS of the Marriott, to replace Dirk Sanderson, who left the Hampton.
Commissioners, questions for Miss Graham?
Nope, not for me.
I'm not sure I want to reappoint Sarah Tolliver. Be fun to watch her run that when she's not on it. No, I just poking there.
Commissioner Jenkins, then I would look to you for a motion.
I would be willing to make that motion to approve, Godfrey. To approve resolution number 8, which are the reappointments to the board for the Tourism and Tax Advisory Board.
Thank you. I have a motion,
I'll second that.
a motion and a second. Fatima?
Commissioner Florer,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins. Chair Harvey.
Aye. Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. Mr. Barron, the next one is item 2 is a request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and Sean Smith to provide indigent defense services at the district court. Mr. Barron.
Thank you, Commissioner. So one of our public defender attorneys, Francisco Roman, he had 2 calendars, law and motion calendars that he was handling. Last year, he decided to cut back and drop down to 1. So we went through the RFP process and we hired Sean Smith to take his other calendar. Francisco has now decided that he wants out, and so we are giving his single law and motion calendar to Sean Smith. Sean Smith's been doing a great job, and so Mike Bowis recommended him for the position.
Appreciate that homework you've done, Brian. You do a wonderful job with that. You have for years. Thank you. And Mr. Bowis, please pass on our gratitude to him as well.
I will, thank you.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Mr. Barron?
Seems like these guys are kind of hard in that department on indigent defense.
It would be tough. This kind of goes along with, while the legal's in my portfolio, this kind of goes, indigent defense goes with you, Commissioner Jenkins. Would you like to make or indigents do you would like to make a motion?
Well, that was quite a reach to get me to be involved.
Well, you're the one that goes out at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning looking for them to count them.
That's true, I've done that.
You've done that.
I'd make a motion that we approve item G2, which is the reappointment of Sean Smith to this other calendar for the district attorney.
Motion?
I'll second that.
Great, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for that vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Barron. Mr. Ferrario. Item 3 is a request for approval of a sponsorship agreement by and between Weber County and Hoyt Archery, Inc. for exclusive naming rights to the Archery Park outdoor range. Mr. Ferrario, You and your team out there have done a wonderful job. What can you tell us once again about yet another sponsorship for that archery range?
Well, good morning, Commission. And
Good morning.
others. This has been kind of long in coming. It's been a good education for us. So as you guys are very aware, you joined us when we first had Greg Easton and Randy Walk and that crew out to the archery complex about a month after it opening, so about September. Subsequently, we've talked with their management teams, their marketing teams about how a relationship would work. You're going to actually see 3 parts to this. One that's number 4 on your list. And the next one will be coming in the grant form. Well, the first one in front of you is from Hoyt, obviously a premier bow maker in the industry and located in Salt Lake City, their headquarters and their facilities. Actually went down, all their manufacturing is handled in Salt Lake. Quite a facility. So this is a $17,500 3-year sponsorship. We have $5,000 per year. That can be used either in VIK or split in half of VIK and cash, depending on the project we're working on. On top of that, we have $2,500 in cash the first year as a little boost for some of the projects we have going out there. The naming rights are on the outdoor course. You 3 gentlemen have seen the elevated platform on the south end and the 4 shooting lanes. So those will be labeled with new bows, new components with Hoyt, and kind of give it some branding on there. And they'll be very visible in our facility as well, which is a great Utah company and obviously a leader that helps us in multiple ways.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Ferrario. Questions for Mr. Ferrario, Commissioner Farrar, Commissioner Jenkins?
Yeah, question if I might.
Please.
So this naming rights just deals exclusively with the outdoor range. The next agenda item will deal with the building itself. Is that correct, or?
No. So the next one does not really have naming rights. They will be recognized on a wall as a sponsor, but Baku has the naming rights to the building.
Okay.
So Hoyt is doing the outdoor areas. Easton is coming on board as just a sponsor. They will have some signage in and out, but they're not a naming right. And then the third one will be the Easton Foundation, which will come to us in a grant form, and they'll help with the toddler area and the juniors.
Got it. Okay.
We really, and with this too, we really appreciate Baku Bikes being so prominent in our area and also helping us.
They're good bikes, by the way.
Yeah, really good. Commissioner Farrar, any other questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Jenkins? No. Commissioner Farrar, I'll look to you for a motion.
Glad to. So I'd move to approve the sponsorship agreement by and between Weber County and Hoyt Archery, Inc. for exclusive naming rights to archery parks. And that would be the outdoor range.
Motion
Second.
and a second. I'll place the item for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ferrario. Let's move on to item number 4, which is the request for approval of the sponsorship agreement by and between Weber County to have Easton and Delta / McKenzie logos on the north end of the archery building. Mr. Ferrario.
So correct, this is very similar. It's $5,000 per year VIK. They will have a sign on the north end, which is kind of our donor wall, our exterior donor wall. There'll be some bannering on the shooting area inside. $5,000 per year for 3 years. One thing I would like to bring up with both Hoyt and Easton, VIK is not just dollars that we give out on leagues and tournaments. If you look at our purchases prior to opening, we purchased bows for youth groups. So Genesis bows and recurve bows. Those are all line item costs to us. So as we build those programs and are replacing equipment, so that will be part of our VIK from them. And Delta McKenzie is a targeting company. 3D targets are a huge expense. So they're looking at bringing us not only beta test targets, but targets for us as well. So this is directly taking dollars off of our budget. So.
Wonderful. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Ferrario?
Good job, Todd.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrar, I'll look to you for a motion again, please.
Glad to. So I would move to approve the sponsorship agreement by and between Weber County to have Easton and Delta / McKenzie logos on the north end of the archery building.
Got a motion and a second. I'll place that item for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ferrario.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Ms. Stewart. Item number 5 is a request for approval of an interlocal cooperation agreement by and among Weber County, Ogden City, and the Utah Transit Authority for acquisition of a right-of-way or right-of-ways for the Ogden City commuter rail and the BDO station. Hello, Brooke.
Good morning. Thanks
Good
for having
morning.
me. It's been a while.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so before you is a resolution approving the execution of this interlocal agreement for the right-of-way preservation efforts to extend the commuter rail north of Ogden. In 2018, Ogden City, in cooperation with UTA, submitted an application requesting corridor preservation funds to preserve the needed right-of-way to extend that commuter rail north of Ogden. So the Weber Area Council of Government approved an award of $3 million in corridor preservation funds from the hub station to preserve the right-of-way from the hub station on 23rd Street to the BDO with a property site at the BDO as well. So that recommendation was approved by the County Commission as part of the 2018 Transportation Priority List. WACOG did have a stipulation with that award. The stipulation was that funding, once the project received enough funds to construct the actual project, that those corridor preservation funds be reimbursed to the corridor preservation account. So then in 2019, there was an amendment request. The COG also recommended that the portion of those funds, that $3 million, be allowed to be used to do survey work and document preparation for the full length of the corridor from the hub station to the Box Elder County boundary. So these funds were programmed for 2021. We've been told that the Box Elder County portion is about 90% complete with their acquisitions. And so as soon as this agreement is signed and approved, they would be able to move into the Weber County portion promptly. This agreement has also been adopted by resolutions by the Utah Board of, the UTA Board of Trustees and the Ogden City Council. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Commissioners, questions for Ms. Stewart?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Please, Commissioner.
Brooke, I appreciate this. I like this, where they decided to require that to be given back when it was fully funded. And that's exactly what we did as a county on the piece that went north to the Box Elder County line. We did the same thing, right?
Yeah, that is what this is.
Oh, yes. Okay. So this way, even though it funds it, allows them to purchase this and get going, when the total project is funded, we'll get that $3 million back. And I thought that was wise to do it that way.
Very wise.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So does this right-of-way deal with the future BDO station?
Yeah, so it includes the right-of-way from the hub station to BDO and then the station site property in the BDO.
Because the right-of-way for the rail's already in there, right? I mean, the rail's there.
The rail's there, but they're purchasing right-of-way to do their own rail because right now it's operating on UP's
Right.
tracks.
Okay, so it's basically to make access to the future rail station at BDO
Correct.
as well? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ms. Stewart. Then with this acquisition, do you know, and sorry, I'm coming right out of left field here, so if you can, what acquisitions would be left between downtown Union Station and the border, the north border of Weber County that would eventually connect going further into Box Elder County? What is left?
So it would be the portions that would be at the BDO station to the border, and I know that there was discussion about why the recommendation was to do this small portion, and they had talked about having the cities, Harrisville, Merritt-Slaterville, Pleasant View, preserve some of that right-of-way through their planning practices, and so there was talk of that happening for that length, but as far as how many parcels in that, I'm not sure until the survey work is complete. We also have, I believe Hal Johnson, the manager of project development for UTA, is on the line, so if you have any questions, I believe he joined from Zoom.
Do you have any questions for him? None. Great. Then, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion from either of you for item number 5.
Commissioners, that will be Resolution 9.
I'd make a motion that we approve Resolution 9 Item 5, G5 on our agenda, approving a cooperative agreement between Weber County and Utah Transit Authority on the right-of-ways.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for resolution number 9. Just a point of information on the agenda, Fatima, it does say an agreement, but it's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
There's a
and an-
resolution in there. So it is a resolution in approving the agreement.
Very good, thank you.
Got it.
So Commissioner Farrar,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins,
Aye.
Chair Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6, we'll move on to that. Mr. Wilson, is a request for approval of an amendment to the ordinance number 2 of the County Commissioners of Weber County amending certain ordinances and repealing ordinance 30-3-11. Matt Wilson's our presenter.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is basically cleaning up a conflicting section of code. So 26-2, let's see, -1 was passed back in 2004, and at the time, section 30-3-11 should have been repealed. It was not, so we have the conflict in the code there, which also doesn't read exactly the same as the one done in 2004 added an exception that people who are swimming in Causey can also be supervised by a lifeguard if they're not wearing any Coast Guard approved life jackets. And then also fixing a typo in 26-3-1 should read Causey Reservoir. It currently reads Cause Reservoir. I'm not sure where Cause Reservoir is though. So, any questions?
Commissioners, questions for Mr. Wilson?
Not for me.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the amendment to an ordinance 2 of the County Commissioners of Weber County, amending the certain ordinances and repealing ordinance 30-3-11.
I have a motion.
And a second.
Great, I'll place the motion.
Commissioner Farrar,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins, Chair Harvey.
Aye. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Item number H, certainly my favorite item. Commissioners' comments.
None.
I think I'm commented out this morning so far.
Oh, wow. Okay, then in 29 minutes, or wait a second, a little less, 27 minutes, I'll entertain a motion for item I.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion? And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.